Welcome to the only podcast for piano teachers just starting out, Piano Teacher Primer. My name is Angela Toon. Keep listening for the prime pro tips you can use with your own students right away. Welcome to the Piano Teacher Primer podcast. And we're back with a guest. Yay! I have Jessica Homewood here with us from, I love her Instagram handle, Not Your Mother's Piano Studio. Did I say that right?
Yes, it's a mouthful, so I'm impressed you got it right the first time.
Well, I've been following you and I love your stuff. So I'll just share a little short bio and then we'll dive in. So Jess is a studio owner and curator. She produced the No Printout Playbook. So I'm interested what that is. And it's easy at home piano games. And she balances teaching and motherhood. How many kids do you have?
So I have two toddlers. They are currently at school right now. When I say school, it's daycare, but they like to think it's school. And it's a whirlwind, as you can imagine. Toddlers are no joke. It's not for the faint of heart.
Absolutely. But I feel like teaching piano is the best mom job. I just love it.
Yes, I 100% agree.
I'll finish this. She inspires educators to reclaim time and passion. And you've got a website too, notyourmotherspianostudio.com. So that's
I do. Awesome. Yes. Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you on. So, tell us how you got started teaching.
Yes. So I feel like my piano teaching story is not super unique. I was young. I was still taking lessons at the time. I was a sophomore in high school, and a close family friend approached me and asked if I could teach their son. And I was like, I know how to play, so I might know how to teach. Why not?
Why not?
And so I started with a handful of students. I think it was 3 at the time. And I taught those 3 kids from sophomore year to senior year of high school. But I didn't think anything of it. I definitely did not think this was going to be my full-time career in any way. I had big plans according to my 18-year-old brain and went off to university, studied sociology, and proceeded from there to job hop from corporate job to corporate job because I just couldn't find the right fit for me. I don't know why that was, but I just didn't feel connected to the jobs I was working. And I had always, once I graduated for my degree and started the corporate life, I had always taught piano on the side to each of the jobs. My husband was in medical school, and so I was just trying to work as many jobs as possible to help put us through. And it wasn't until we moved to Ohio for residency for his medical training here where I was like, why not make this a full-time gig? Why can't this be my full-time job? And so 3 months into my last corporate job, I put in my 2-week notice, and I had 0 students signed up with me. And I decided to just take the leap. I didn't have any connections, no family out here. And so I just marketed like crazy. And by the end of those 2 weeks, I had 25 students enrolled under me. And, that was 3 years ago now. Now we have a full studio size of 60 plus a wait list.
What?
So I'm really, really happy here. Yeah, I'm really glad I took the leap. It was scary, but I'm glad I did it. I think my husband was more scared than I personally was, but I just told him to hang in there for a little bit.
Just hang in there. What did you do for marketing? So people ask me that. I moved to a new area. How do I get students?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did not know the social media world existed for us as piano teachers until probably a year ago. I relied heavily on Google Analytics. Once you throw up your website and those first few students start trickling in, if you get them to write you referrals and just interact with your website, then Google will actually do the marketing for you. They will push you up on their rank list. So because I have had, several students circle through and give me those reviews, Google does all the work for me. So that's been super helpful. But I also use things like local buy-sell Facebook groups, mom groups. You do have to be careful though with the rules. There's a lot of marketing and advertising rules. I do think it's stricter than it was when I had started filling my studio 3 years ago.
Even just 3 years ago. Interesting. Yes. Okay. How did you learn the The Google stuff. So these are Google reviews, right? Like on the Google Maps.
Yes. So I put myself
Cool.
on the map, set up a business profile, and then they have a little easy link you can send your students. And I would do a little incentive for them that, hey, if you leave me a review, you'll get one of the lessons this month free. And, everybody likes free. So those reviews came in, and then just like that, Google recognized my site as credible, popular, and then it just moves me up on the page when people in my area search for piano lessons or piano teacher.
That's so cool. Oh, that's so good to hear. Well, I thought I was having you on to talk about group stuff, but I'm super glad that you also can talk about SEO because people ask me these things and I don't always know the answer. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, of
That's
course.
why I
Yeah.
do this. It's like great minds together is more impactful than just one little mind sharing my little experience. So
Yes. Yes, I agree.
I love it so much. So I know that you do a group thing, but tell us kind of, did you start with that 3 years ago, or how did it morph into what you're doing now?
Yeah. Before 2023, I probably would have never considered group lessons. I loved my private lessons, definitely felt like I was comfortable. I'd like to think that I was good at it. I mean, it was just something that never crossed my mind until I think it was early of 2023. I connected with another group piano teacher on Instagram, or maybe it was on Facebook. I can't remember where it was. We connected, but his name's Daniel Patterson. And he was running a group piano model that ended up being so successful for him and his studio that he converted his model into a digital training course. And so we started talking about that. And he was explaining to me that through his model, students could actually go through their book methods faster than their private lessons. So that definitely caught my curiosity a little bit. But it wasn't until he said that through his model that students can actually develop critical thinking skills and accountability for their own learning that helps them with their at-home practice. And I feel like many piano teachers, we have problems with students practicing and we think, oh, it's because they just don't want to, they're overscheduled. But I do think a big part of it is that they actually don't know how to practice without you. When you're in a one-on-one lesson, you're right here. It's so comfortable. They can just turn to you and ask the questions. But if they can work on their own in a group setting, we use headphones in my group lessons for a limited amount of time. And because they're forced to think for themselves, they can start to learn how to answer their own questions while they're practicing. And then they go home and actually have the confidence to do the same thing at home. So that's kind of
Oh,
what really caught my attention. So I took his training in April. The training's called Successful Group Lessons. And by June, I launched 4 groups. And I feel like it was the probably one of the best things I did for my studio. And I have enjoyed it so much that I'm converting most, if not all, of my studio this June. So now a year later to all be group lessons.
wow. Crazy.
Yes, it's
Crazy.
been quite the journey for sure.
How is it set up?
Yeah, I wish I had I know some people will be listening to this on your podcast, but I wish I had my keyboards in the background. I have 4 keyboards that I set up in a room. I also have my piano. And I keep the students for 50 minutes. I know that's a very odd amount of time, but there's a reason for that. And in those 50 minutes, I have 3 time blocks where the first time block we spend reviewing and checking assignments. So students know when they get here to come on in. Like I said, we use headphones for limited blocks of time. They throw on their headphones. They know to set up their songs that they had for homework and they start practicing right away. They hit the ground running. We do brief like, hello, how it's going? How is it going? And they sit down and start practicing and checking off their songs with me. So I'll individually go to each student and check off their songs. Then I'll go to the next student. If they have a question, they can raise their hands. And they just work through all of their homework assignments for 15 minutes until we can get most of it checked off. And so I do like that aspect of it because it still has a lot of the benefits of a one-on-one lesson. The fact that you can teach one student at a time and teach their needs and their questions, and then just move student to student like that. It does force you to get really good at teaching concisely, so not
Mhm.
overcomplicating what things are, what terms mean. And then once that 15 minutes is over, I call it my game time. This is what students live for in my lessons. And we hang up the headphones, push in the benches, and we play off the bench piano activities. So that's where my no printout playbook resources come into play.
Okay.
Yes, because all of those activities are going to be like tactile sensory activities, things that you can do with random objects around the house. Because like I mentioned, I have two little babies, two little toddlers. So I don't have a ton of time to be printing, laminating, cutting, and doing all of the things. So we play a lot of jumping and action and just fun, silly games for that second block. And then once we finish that second block, we do go back to the keyboards on the headphones and they are starting new assignments. So everybody turns to the very next page in their books. Everybody gets started on their own. And I like that students start the process on their own because it forces them to be like, okay, what are the important questions? Where's our hand position? What key is this song in? What are the details I need to be looking for? And then I will go around and check to make sure that they have the right answers as they continue the learning process.
Awesome. So again, you're going student to student.
Yes.
Helping each one with their with their assignment coming up.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
That's cool. That's so cool.
It's so much fun. It's so fun. And then of course I love the game time because that's when they form the relationships with each other and the community aspect that I feel like really fosters that love for music and accountability.
And a painless learning that's actually fun, just fun for them.
Yes, I am so happy I can slide away the theory workbooks and the pencils. And I'm like, let's just do it in games. Like it's so much more fun, not only for the students, but I feel like as a teacher, you need a little bit more just excitement in your lessons to help you not burn out from doing the same thing, working from books, doing the same lessons every single day.
Yes, that's so cool. That is way cool. And so his program is like taught you how to do this, right? Is that what
Yes.
his program is?
Yeah, so his training not only shows you how to run your lessons, it gives you all the logistics before too. So in terms of if you are a piano teacher like I was, had all private lessons, he shows you, okay, this is the messaging that you need to use to start talking to your piano family. So he gives you all of the messaging, all of the email templates. If you are starting out not just like brand new and you don't have a ton of private lessons already, he gives you the marketing for marketing your group lessons from the get-go.
Oh.
And then he kind of goes through like how to schedule your group lessons, what your opening and closing procedures should look like, how to tell when a student needs help. He has a system, a really well done system for that. And so it really just simplifies the process for the groups and makes it as mindless as possible so that you can just enjoy the teaching aspects of the lessons.
That's so cool. And I'm guessing the 50-minute gives you 10 minutes before your next group comes?
Yes. Okay. I did remember I mentioned that. Yes. So the 50 minutes I personally like because it does give you a 10-minute wiggle time of talking with the parents, making sure you're updating them on how the class went. I feel like even though you're with the student most of the time, those relationships with the families are so important for overall happiness and at-home support and just satisfaction with your lessons. That relationship is critical. So yeah, I save those 10 minutes to chat, make sure they're updated, but also ask them about their personal lives and show them that I care.
That's so awesome. So is it 4 kids at once? You said you had 3 kids
Yes,
at the piano?
Yes, my classes right now are 4. Daniel recommends 4 to 6 for his specific model. I know that you can do classes with more, but just with this multi-level class, it's 4 to 6. But I find that 4 is good for me. I get a little bit overstimulated easily. So sometimes the 4 is my max for that day.
Well, and just enough time to see each one. Like I'm thinking 5, 10, 15, you know, if you have 5 minutes each, you're there.
Exactly. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. That is so cool. And that allows you to teach 60 students.
Yes.
60
yes. And I do.
Ooh.
Yes, I know. And that's another thing is not only does the group lessons really help with the student education experience, but with teachers, you know, in the traditional sense, we thought we had to teach back to back to back to back to back, just cram as many lessons in as possible to meet the income goals that you wanted, right? Yes, that was
or
me
just
100%.
or just get as many kids taught in those after school hours.
Yes, because our schedules are limited to when kids are out of school. And so typically a private lesson teacher is working from like 3 p.m., around 3 p.m. to like 7, 8, sometimes 9 o'clock at night. I think my last lesson ends at 9 o'clock at night just because of time zone differences, but it is a lot. And so group lessons allows you to reach all of the students that you want to, but just in a more concise amount of time, which is one of the motivations for me to convert the rest of my studio. Cause I'm like, I don't have to be working, 35 plus hours a week, cutting into time with my family dinners. Like I can condense this, but not lose any kids and relationships.
I love it. And I'm thinking you could use this with any method.
Yes, you do. That's a huge thing for me because I am a sucker for piano adventures. I love them. I know there's so many great ones out there. I do want to try like Piano Safari and some of the popular ones now. But I did not want to have to learn a whole entire new group specific curriculum. With Daniel's multi-level model, it's whatever curriculum you're currently using can be adapted to this model. So it's a very flexible model that allows you to fit it to your studio and teaching style, which was, I think, great for me because I like to take things, twist them up a little bit, and then run with it the way that I want to.
Yes.
So yes, I still use Piano Adventures, love it,
Yeah.
and all of that.
Yeah. I use it too. I don't start with it, but I love it. I definitely am a fan.
Yes, they're great.
So if people are interested in that, in teaching with groups like that and in learning how to do that, would they find it on your website?
Yes. So you can go to my website or message me on the Instagram handle. Remember, this is a mouthful, not your mother's piano studio. But you can also go to Daniel Patterson directly. Like if they connect with me, I'll send them the same link to connect with him. He offers like a free consultation on, okay, this is what you can expect from my course. Is this training and is this course right for you? Because it is an investment. And so he just wants to make sure that you're going to get the most out of it. And if it's not right, he'll tell you. And that's what I like. So you get one-on-one time with the course creator to figure out, hey, is this actually going to fit my studio's needs, or do I need to pivot and go a different direction for my group lessons?
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I was so curious about this. And then let's move into your top 3 tips for beginning piano teachers.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So it was hard to pick 3. I feel like, oh, that's simple. I can come up with 3. And then you're like, oh, there's so many I want to give. So it was good that you asked this question. And I'm going to pull up my list right now because I feel like I don't want to miss the ones that I listed here.
If inspiration strikes and you want to do another one, go for it.
Okay, sounds good. So I feel like the first piece of advice I'm giving because I feel like I'm bad at it. At least I was bad at it. I'm hoping I'm getting better. But I would say that there's no like quote unquote right time. I know that's vague and I'll explain, but there's no right time to invest in yourself, like invest in your business, invest in your education as a piano teacher, whether that looks like connecting with other teachers on Instagram or taking workshops or signing up for trainings. I think a lot of us go into piano teaching excited because we love piano, we love teaching, but we forget that our business is a business. And so we need to invest in being good at that part of it too, so that it really fits with the career goals that we have, if that makes sense. So to stop waiting, I think I waited too long to treat it like a business. So the second piece of advice while I was thinking about it was, even though your studio is a business, to not overcomplicate the business or the piano teaching side. I think sometimes, especially on Instagram, you can look at what all of the other teachers are doing. There's so many amazing and creative minds out there. And for myself, I'm like, oh, I should be doing that. Or they teach that so well. Like, I want to do that in my studio. Or I don't have those flashcards yet. Like, I want to buy those. And although it's good to be growing and learning, you don't have to do all of the things to be a good teacher. I think we like to chase shiny objects sometimes. And if we can remember that our students are there for us and for their music education, and they want us as their teacher, we don't have to try to be or do so many things. We can keep it simple. You You can adopt other people's lessons, practices, little resources, but at the end of the day, keeping it simple will help you in the long run.
That's so good. And I think having my own kids has helped keep me grounded. I mean, it's hard, but also like,
Yes.
I just know that I can't do this and that I see out there, and I know that I'm a mom first, and that kind of limits some of the things that I'm able to do. But then also another thing that I did having kids and teaching is like adding one new thing a year. I have
Yes. I love that.
occasional group classes. So I added that one year. I added like the federation competition. I really wanted to start, but I had another baby right then, and I'm like, not this year. And then I added it so, and then,
Yes.
yeah, so just kind of one new thing a year so you can find what you might want to do, put it in your back pocket, and then just gradually add things. And I've also heard summertime is a good time to like try some of these things.
Yes, I agree. I think that's why I started the group lessons in June, because it gave me a little bit of peace of mind to like, okay, well, we'll try when most of my students, I mean, I'm kind of flexible during the summer, so some of my students do stop during summer. But it gave me a little bit of flexibility of like trial and error. There wasn't much pressure, but I really like the one time or one new thing a year. I feel like I'm going to steal that from you, if that's okay. That's a great idea, because I do get overwhelmed, like I said, with trying to do all of the things.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just tapping into your own intuition and what you need and what your students in your area need. It might be different than any across the country.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Yep. So
All
simple,
right.
definitely simple. You want to hear the third one?
Number 3.
Okay, so this one I would have to say is just to have fun. Like have fun in your teaching. Like, don't be afraid to laugh in your lessons, especially with your students. Kids are so great. They say the darndest things. Like they are just the sweetest, the most random communicators. And it's such a joy. And so I think when you can laugh more, it does not need to be playing games every lesson, but just smile and enjoy the process. And I think the more joy that you can experience, your students feel that. And so they get to feel that too. And then they start telling their friends about how much they like lessons. And when those students start talking, that's when your referrals come. That's when your Google reviews increase. It cycles. It adds to the success of your studio and to your teaching business when you can honestly enjoy the process and your families can feel it.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like number 3 can guide number 2, what you want to add to your studio or what you might want to change. Or it's like another violin teacher does these amazing things. And I was like, how do you do it? She takes these trips to Europe. She does these big service fundraising concerts. And she says, it's just, I'm excited about it. She said, so it's like whatever you think sounds fun, whatever you're excited about as a teacher that sounds fun to you to add, like really excited about, that can even guide what you change and add in your
Oh,
studio.
I love that. That's a really good point. Yeah. I think you do need to find what lights you up, what gets you excited, and make sure you add that into your either routine or just your plans for that year.
Yeah, that's so good. Those are golden. Those are absolutely golden. Well,
Thank you. I mean, it's been such a pleasure to be here on the podcast. I love your content as well. I feel like listeners would really value from the resources that you put out and the education that you share on the podcast. So I just feel really privileged to have been invited, and I appreciate that from you, Angela. Thank you.
I thought of you. I've been thinking of you for a while. So that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
Hey, okay. Well, thanks, Jessica. That was exactly and even more than I was hoping. So,
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you,
fun.
Angela.
Have a good one. Before you go, a quick note. Your dedication to piano education is keeping the music alive. If you have found value in our conversation, please leave a rating or a review and share it with a fellow piano teacher. Together, we're changing the world, one student at a time. Until next week, play on.